In this video, we strive to remain spoiler-free, discussing only story and plot elements from the books relevant to what has occurred already on the show. When necessary, a spoiler warning with a countdown will be given.
Hey, I'm Jen.
I'm Max.
And I'm the Geeky Hippie. Welcome back to What the Adaptation. We're the YouTube show that reviews adaptation from one form to another. We have returning guest, Bill. How you doing this week, Bill?
Doing great. Hi, Ted.
Touche. So, we are continuing this week with episodes 8 and 9 of The Sandman. Max, what can you tell us about these episodes?
Well, episode 8 is titled Playing House, directed by Andres Bays, known for Narcos, written by Alexander Newman Wise, known for the People. Episode 9 is titled The Collectors, directed by Corley Fargat, I don't know how you'd pronounce that, known for Reality Plus and Revenge. And it's written by Vanessa Benton, known for How to Get Away with Murder. Mind you, some of these have not directed all the episodes, just some written episodes.
Okay.
And yeah, there's stuff that went down in both episodes.
Yeah.
Stuff happens.
Yeah. Sorry, we need to just squish these two episodes together. And just last episode we didn't take us long to discuss, and then I had the unfortunate migraine that would not go away last week, and I could not sit under that and record. So thank you guys for agreeing to try to smush two into one episode tonight.
We're just glad you're better.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I am. What'd you guys think of these two episodes?
Enjoyed them. I enjoyed them pretty well, actually. So
Yeah, Collectors specifically is probably my second favorite episode. It's just so weird and off-putting in the way it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed it.
I would say of this arc, this is my favorite part of the arc.
Right.
Because 7 and 8 were not my favorite episodes. And like I said in the past, I saw that what they're doing is they're building up to the Collectors.
Yeah.
So, first question about both of these episodes, I guess. The question being, if there were any changes to the source materials, did it affect how you enjoyed the show? Is the first question for the night. And since you are our returning guest, Bill, I'm going to pass the honors off to you to answer this first.
I think the change from Brute and Glob from the source material into Galt was great, and the actress for Galt was just awesome.
Yes,
I love that character, and I mean the way she sold her need to change and everything was beautiful. I think it enhanced the story. So yeah, it really did. I really enjoyed her work in particular.
I definitely agree with you on that, Bill. I think Galt was a major improvement, in my opinion, over Brute and Glob. Just one of the aspects of this storyline where they made a change that I actually think works better on the show than it did in the book. Of course, I'm also enjoying the show more than I am enjoying the comic book, to be honest.
That's fair.
I'll have to agree. Having her be a nightmare that just wants to, become, the master of what they want to do is kind of a cool individualistic theme, and how that kind of tied in with Lucian there at the end as well. I enjoy that little bit of banter. So yeah, I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Max?
I'd say they probably made Funland a little more easier on the eye.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which probably made it a little more enjoyable than trying to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I wouldn't want me showing that way. I would not want to be. No.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the same thing they did with Despair. They made Despair a little,
sad,
more clothed, and yeah. Where you're able to enjoy the character.
I didn't notice originally in the comics that she wasn't wearing clothes, but until you mentioned it that week.
Yeah.
The skin
Yeah,
draping off was not a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have noticed that. One thing I liked about this more was, I mean, yeah, there's the whole Brute and Glob for Galt, but the overall, the other changes that are parcel with this one, where it's now no longer her mother with her, it's Lyda who's with her, and it ties directly into her story is still essentially the same story from the books with Hector, but here Hector's not the Sandman. They've given that story, that element off to Jed, which I think just pulls it all. I don't know. I really like how it all pulls together, especially when you bring it up with, it's not Brute and Glob, it's now Galt and her motivation for why she's doing that with Jed and why she's trying to change in the first place. She doesn't want to be feared. Who in their right mind, I should say, wants to be feared? And apparently she was a nightmare that got tired of that. And so it's all these changes that are just wrapped up and tied together in a way that not as many of the other episodes and not every show does as neatly, but I think the changes to these last couple episodes just make for a tighter story.
Yeah, it's very much streamlined.
Okay, so if everyone's okay, I'll go on to the next question. If everyone feels, I think that was wonderful. How we just discussed the changes there. I think we all agree. We're all in agreement. Second question being, how well did the show adapt the scenery, costumes, props, and music? Also consider, it says, CGI effects, creatures, that sort of thing. I know that's kind of Max's speciality. So with that being in mind, maybe I'll pass that off to you to answer first, and then we'll kind of go around Robin a little bit. So
I'd say the scene with Galt was pretty fantastic on CGI front. The house in the dream.
The shadows.
Yep.
Which scene was sending her to the shadows?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
The scene where they have the house built with Hector in the dream. Then you have the earthquake in episode 9, and everything's breaking. My only criticism, it has to do with the Scarecrow guy. Episode 9, I noticed like his eyes blinking were just a bit off this time, like they were rendered CG a little slower for some reason.
Didn't even notice. I didn't even notice.
Marv's walk was a little weird. At the end there, they have that shot up where he's walking, so we're seeing from the floor, and his
but like
walk
even his facial expressions were like just off. I don't know.
Yeah. They seem to tick off.
See,
that again.
I was just wondering who the extremely
that makes
skinny
sense.
guy is to play. Who the extremely skinny guy is doing the body of Merv. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was an animated body, but I could be wrong.
Well, it's like the alien suit. You wear all black and you have the thing in front of you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the house sequence where he's removing his faces. That was pretty good. When he gets to the final one, and I mean, it's just viscera. You can see the vein.
That was
nice. Yeah, it was gross the way it should be.
It wouldn't have been nearly as bad if it had been dry, but it had to be wet.
Oh no, you could hear it.
It was just
Yeah, that was pretty gross. That
sounds not as bad as when the Corinthians eaten the eyeball.
The social worker.
And then starts chomping, and you're just like, no, I don't want to hear that.
I think Valda would like to have a word with Corinthian.
True.
I think I might be more tempted to eat that little parakeet thingy or whatever it was, which is actually a dish that's like a delicacy, but supposedly illegal in places. But like in France, it's illegal, I think. But it's supposed to be a delicacy. They hide under a napkin. They throw a cloth napkin over their head as they eat it when they eat it in a restaurant. That's how it's supposed to be served.
What's going through my head right now is
Corinthian
and Volda on Fear Factor, just staring each other down, eating stuff.
Nobody's winning. Nobody's winning.
Nope.
Just eye contact.
That is hilarious.
Kind of eye contact, but yeah.
Well, mouth to eye contact, I guess.
I see the Corinthian would win just by doing this.
Yeah.
Because him and Volda would be, what is it? Like the light? What is that?
Yes. The teeth for eyeballs.
He still wouldn't believe he's a dark friend, so we're good.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Is it wrong?
Only I said I can be dark friends.
Is it wrong that I kind of enjoyed the Corinthian and Jed together?
No, I mean, I think it was you were specifically meant to find it fun, and at a couple of times when certain lines were said, like, ooh, no. Yeah, but most of the time it was supposed to be fun.
It creeped me out, but at the same time, he was kind of way better with Jed than his actual adopted parents.
Well,
I was kind of glad when they died.
As we know, Jeb's not his type, so we're good.
Yeah.
Well, true.
Yeah.
There is a change you just touched on that I did not like about this episode. And I did not like how they made Aunt Clarice innocent, or at least relatively innocent. In the comics, she's part and parcel. She's hand in hand with Barnabas, whatever his name is, at all the horrid shit he's doing.
Right.
Yet on the show, they make her like trying to stop it, and they've turned her meek and mousy and scared of her abusive husband. And I didn't want her to be sympathetic. I think she needed to stay unsympathetic as can be. I think that would, and it just, I don't know why they did that. And it's not like we don't, the next episode then see a whole bunch of women who are worse than her, so I don't see why that would be a problem. But yeah, I really think she should have stayed just as guilty.
I would say that there is a theme throughout the TV show of making some of the more evil people more sympathetic throughout.
I thought so. There was another example, but I was racking my brain today, and I could not think of who.
John D, for one, he completely kills the what's her name?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, when she drops him off, he flat out kills her. He's pretty evil.
Yeah. Was there a female character they did that to previous to Aunt Clarice? Or was I thinking something from another TV show?
Just they didn't heavily focus on Judy being abusive as much as they did in the comic. So I don't know if you're thinking of that from the diner scene. She beat up her girlfriend. Yeah. She was slightly more violent in the comics. So
they also made another person they made sympathetic that episode was Marsh in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, for a while.
Until a certain point anyway, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
To answer the question, I would probably say kind of going on what Bill was saying, but in a different bent of the dream scene that Rose was having, where she was going through like all the different dreams, and she would run into different people, and each one looked up and they were like, what are you doing here? And she's running through and she's opening doors and going through different people in the house's dreams. I like that sequence a lot. It's very tropey of like running through different dreams and stuff like that, but I think they pulled it off very well and very nice. I think it was probably one of my favorites.
There's some foreshadowing in that. So
yes.
I just want to know what Barbie's smoking.
Ahead.
I just want to know what Barbie's smoking.
Oh yeah.
With her dreams, like what are you doing? What's going on?
Heart and 10 bones.
Yeah.
Very detailed.
Moving on to kind of the second part of this question, I'll ask is, how well written was the dialogue? Did the actors deliver their lines? And for this one, if it's okay, I'd like to answer this one first. What Jed was doing as the Sandman and him delivering the lines of "I'll protect you" and everything like that, and just being, that was just so good. That was so, and we were touching on earlier, another thing I wanted to point out of how much I did like the fact that they made Jed the the superhero and he was the Sandman. It's kind of playing off, kids nowadays are really into the like superheroes and Marvel and that sort of thing. And also kids understand the Sandman. That was always a thing. It's more something that a kid would be believing in than an adult. You know what I mean? They would buy that even, I know the nightmare, not really a nightmare, but the nightmare helper that's helping, however you want to say what she is at that time. I'm not sure how Galt was, but I really, really enjoyed how it was a kid who, of course, thinks he's a Sandman and, of course, is the superhero. That's like what every kid dreams about. And having them make that into the show when it was not in the comics originally just fit so well with like an audience that didn't read the comic. They'd be like, yeah, he thinks he's the Sandman. So that just makes more sense. And I also like the little Pied Piper thing with the like little it's all very kind of like fairy tale, kind of like even the Sandman situation. So he had to fight the Pied Piper and stuff like that. I enjoyed that. Very good line delivery. I enjoyed that.
If it wasn't for the fact Pied Piper is a character outside of comic books as well, I doubt it would have been kept in, because Pied Piper is also a comic book character in DC.
Oh,
there's a DC villain named the Pied Piper.
Well, if you saw the wheel in the control room when Galt was in there are several DC characters on that wheel.
Yeah, and I think the image they showed.
Yeah,
I think that was a canon image of the comic book Pied Piper.
Something I thought about that scene was like it felt like CW just in that Galt and him is like the kid has clearly watched a lot of CW. DC comic type stuff. And speaking of Pied Piper, I half expected to see the guy from Silicon Valley who did Pied Piper in there. Just walk in perfect. Just walk in his Pied Piper outfit, like, what's going on?
That actually would have been perfect. I would have died laughing. Yeah, I think Galt's speech was really good. I mean, as she's being, sort of disintegrated, her speech, her manner, she just nailed it. That sympathetic delivery, while at the same time the power of I know what I want to be and I can change type thing. I mean, that really came through. So that dialogue there really got me.
Yeah,
I got a kick. I remember giggling a couple of times at something Gilbert said to Rose. Or to somebody else, but Gilbert was pretty funny.
I was gonna mention Gilbert's scene with Lucy and The Dreaming, where he's like, Dream almost apologized. It's pretty good. He's changed. He's almost apologized.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty good dialogue there.
It's so hard because Stephen Fry is so good at everything he does. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't pick one thing. His entire conversation with Rose on the drive is just insanely perfect and weird. And his voice makes me sleepy.
I also kind of like the dialogue we have of when he's entering all of the panel discussions.
Yes.
And like all of them were like cringe in some way, but like the religious one, like I'm waiting for them to break out into a fight.
Oh yeah. That's very Stephen Fry.
As a born-again Christian, I want to distance myself from this madman, says the serial killer.
Well, his name was Hammer of God. It's like, come on, man.
Man, I'd be terrified if there were actually that many serial killers in America. Or even North America.
There are.
There seem to be a few hundred people at that convention. That's just terrifying.
I believe the statistic is there's at least 300
50.
Unknown.
What I saw today when I researched as of 2020, 50.
Okay, so
50.
It's gone down.
At any given time. At any given time, they believe there's 50.
That's terrifying enough, so.
Yeah, and then that's what I'm saying. Imagine if there was a few hundred. They'd be like, I'd be locking my door all day long, all night long. Never leave it unlocked. I'd be scared.
All right. Before we move on, is there anything else you wanted to add to the dialogue? Question? No? Okay. I think we all answered that to our satisfaction then. Moving along, the next item on the agenda is scene or sequence any of you most remember, enjoyed, or hated. So I guess this is kind of the gut reaction. Glenn, you have not had the opportunity to go and answer a question first, so I will pass the hat to you.
Scene I really enjoyed, probably that whole sequence. This is just wish fulfillment. When we didn't get to see it, we heard it when Barnaby and Clarice had their little interaction with the Corinthian. You know, when he came to let Jed out of the basement. You know, just knowing approximately what was going on upstairs.
Not good.
Made me feel good inside, because
depends.
You don't abuse kids. You really don't abuse kids, and yeah, they got what was coming, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe a little more than what was coming, considering it was the Corinthian, but it's a TV show. I'll forgive it.
I think for me, it was the sequence when Dream confronts Lyda and Hector, and that whole thing plays out. And he says, that's it. This dream is over. And then Rose is in his room with him, and she says, no, stay away from me. Stay away from my friends. You won't do anything. This dream is over. And then she disappears. That kind of power shift dynamic. I really enjoyed that. So it stood out that she was like, nah, screw you.
Yeah, those were great. Obviously I mentioned all the scenes with Gilbert, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially the one with Lucy, and I enjoyed. I mentioned the panels, and those also were the ones that stuck out to me.
Very good. Very good.
Other than that, I can't really think of anything else besides what I've already mentioned prior. I will say the Hal's face thing wasn't really that grotesque for me. Having been watching Puppet Master, Hellraiser, Saw, that's like nothing.
See, I don't watch that kind of stuff much at all, if at all ever.
I do. I just appreciate the actual prosthetic work, because on the computer, I was much closer to it, and I'm like, that looks really good. It looks gooey. It looks good.
It was some really good makeup work, but it's not the kind of thing that I like to see on my TV screen.
That's fair.
But
I don't know about enjoyed, hated, or remember, but just the feeling that hit me the most is anytime Lyda, anytime she was on screen in her dream or even waking, just how she's just such a melancholy character. And, I don't know, I have yet to see how it ends. But I don't know if she can make some sort of deal with Dream to where she stays in the dreaming. She seems to be a person that may not want to be in the real world anymore. And so I don't know how that's going to go. We'll find out. But that's kind of what I have going on with her in my brain.
There was one scene that I thought of just now that I really enjoyed.
Ken Bones?
And in a way, it's another scene that's kind of, I really enjoyed when the boogeyman had his little tryst with the Corinthian, and then Nimrod and the good doctor come in. I thought that whole sequence was pretty funny. I don't know if you're supposed to find it funny. I thought it was funny. It's just because it didn't seem scary, that's for sure, and all that, but
I did like the scene just after that, where Corinthian stabs Funland.
Yeah, that made me happy.
Yeah.
Well, Funland was so expertly cast. I mean, that scene of him running down the hall after them, I said he's mine, is just so creepy.
But at the same time, earlier, he's able to put on this, this appearance of being a soft, buffoonish, dumb, slow, gentle guy, but he's not.
No.
But he's it makes it seem like he's safe to be around, but because we've been watching this show, we know he's not. And it just,
So the next question on the list is best or worst actor, best or worst casting. And I will say before we begin, I already know Bill's answer, and he took mine, so now I'm having to scramble.
Well, you can give the same person if you want.
So I did not look her up. Bill did. What is the actual actress's name? I just know her as her character on screen, so that's on me. Okay,
and
hold on.
The reason
Ogbomo.
I closed it. Yeah.
What was the name again, Max? I'm so sorry.
And Ogbomo.
She did a wonderful job.
Yeah,
as
and
Galt.
She was
Ogbomo.
good.
Incredible, and
She
it
was
kind of
good.
really, man, it just panged us all in the chest when he sent her like
did.
away to the shadows. I was like, you know what? Damn. And I really, like I said, even like the banter between Lucien and him after she went away, because Lucien was having some introspection, which you hadn't seen before that time. So probably her. And I will say, I know that I have kind of not really poo-pooed, but just kind of like the Corinthian really isn't my thing, but I enjoyed him better in these episodes, especially like you guys were saying when he was off riding it into the sunset with Jed and everything, and even after. So he did a much more I enjoyed that side of him, which we haven't seen. So maybe it's because he's allowed to explore a different side of that character. So I can enjoy that more. He did a much better job for me. Much more pleasing. So that's going to be my answer as well. Whoever wants to go next, I'll pass it to either Max or Glenn, whoever wants to go first.
I was going to mention Lenny Henry and Mark Hamill.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Mark, yes. Who'd Lenny Henry play?
Martin Tenbones, apparently.
Mm.
I was just looking through the cast. I was like, oh,
That's
Lenny Henry again.
That's Sadak, right? Sadak Burrows. No, and what we just see him in? Wasn't he on Rings of Power?
Oh yeah, he was the guy with the book.
Yeah, Sadak Burrows.
Yeah, I was just looking in the list, like, oh, Lenny Henry, we like that guy. He's funny.
I was like,
I'll actually give a runner up to Stephen Fry for myself too, but he's in the episode, so he's gonna win. I mean, it's not really fair.
You know, I always pick 2 or 3, and Stephen Fry is my number 1. Go ahead, Max.
Favorite inanimate object. I'm going to say the face that was peeled off.
Oh,
Which
yes.
one?
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
How did I know you were going to say yes?
That is so true, Max. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, Stephen Fry as Gilbert is just, it's brilliant casting, and his performance is so amazing. But the other one I like is she's credited as Kyo Ra, at least I'm assuming that's how the Korean is pronounced, which is the Korean name of Vanessa Samunyai, who played Rose Walker. I thought she was really good. And for the first time, I actually got to say, I actually liked what I saw coming out of Tom Sturridge as far as acting. You know, he actually seemed to show more than just a stone-faced lack of emotion.
Well, he's changing, and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, he actually did something. You know, I really got it. I really liked how it was kind of subtle the way he did it, when not super subtle, but it was well done. The thing that stood out for me amongst all of it, but, and this is gonna sound silly, is when Jed called himself the Sandman, and Morpheus was like, "You're the Sandman? Is that what she told you?" He just had this look on his face. I'm like, yeah, he's not overdoing it. He's doing it just enough that I can see there's this amusement. You know, he's amused by this.
You're the Sandman. Okay.
So yeah, I give it to Tom Sturridge this episode for the first time. So
Bill?
Yeah.
Well, you know mine. Go. So
it's
but
phenomenal.
Second,
it's brilliant.
Seriously, my second is Stephen Fry, of course. He is so perfect for that role.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen the comic, it's almost him in comic form, which is just weird.
Yeah.
He's just he embodies that role, and like I said, I love his voice. He has an audio book on Audible. It's called Secrets of the Victorian Era. where he's just talking about all sorts of different stuff from the Victoria era. I can put that on and I go to sleep every night listening to that because his voice is so soothing. I'm like, oh, okay. I got headphones on. I'm just, yeah.
Get the Sherlock Holmes one. It's on Audible.
I'll have to check it.
Alrighty, now that we've discussed casting, everyone's favorite part of the episode, I think it's everyone's personal favorite because there's so much to delve into. It's the real meat and bones question. I like how Glenn posed this last, and of course, it is none other than of the themes present in this episode. Which ones caught your attention? And what did you think about those themes? Are they relevant to, in this case, I'd say the comic. So, or audiobook, whichever you're wanting to draw from, or both. So some themes that really, laid it out for you. Anyone wants to go first? I can pass it off to you, Glenn, and then we'll all go around robin and talk about
I
I
got
I
one.
Try to go last.
Okay.
And this one might be one everybody has, and that's family.
All right, Max. Oh yeah.
Because it's throughout all these episodes, and they're not necessarily the family you want. Or like.
But it's the one you got.
Yeah. I mean, we have Rose discovering a new family. Several new families.
Yeah.
Jeb, has his thing going on. He has his family in his dream. And that's a whole thing. And then you got the serial convention of that family. It's a little bit twisted.
It's a family. A family that sleeps together.
Doesn't the whole family sit around and have cereal for breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
depends on the kind of cereal.
That pop crunch hiss of the nice nutritious breakfast of eyeballs.
Snapple.
Yeah. I will throw one out there.
Gouge,
I will say kind of punny but also serious. People are revealing their true natures in these episodes. So, like reveals of, kind of, obviously that whole thing in the previous episode where it's like, obviously Jed, and he's like, I'm the Sandman. It's like, no, you're not really the Sandman. Like the Sandman's really revealing himself. You have Galt revealing themselves. I'm not a nightmare. I'm actually trying to be somebody better. You have like the serial killers revealing more of themselves. The only thing that really isn't being revealed so far is to Jed, but I see that coming.
I do have to point out, I think Ken revealed more than anybody.
Well, yeah, literally.
Well,
there was a reveal.
The whole face scene.
Yeah.
The face scene with taking off a mask.
Yeah, we're unmasking ourselves.
Yes.
That's another way to put it. Instead of revealing, we're unmasking our true natures, so different masks. There, Rose is getting to be, I guess, tapping more into her powers a little bit, isn't she? She's discovering more that she can do. So kind of a little bit of that, I would say, sprinkled in there. Not like the first strong thing. I think Max is stronger with family, but that's kind of going on. You're seeing a kind of culmination of events, leading up to the finale that's coming up. We kind of feel it. I'll think of some others here, but yeah, that was my big thing. I was going to make a punny joke about the reveal and the faces and that sort of thing that Glenn picked up on, but that was my punny joke for the episode.
For me, it was personal growth. We saw a lot of characters take steps, some back and then forward again, like Dream. He was making strides, and then with Hector, it kind of went off the rails, and he took a step back. Because the way he just ended that guy was, a little disturbing and more reminiscent of the ruthless Eternal that he was. But we see growth later. He goes off on Lucian, and then he realizes he was wrong and actually goes to her and says, could you help a little bit?
He doesn't say he was wrong.
Yeah. He hints
previously, because there's another example of Morpheus showing growth. And that's when he goes back to the tavern. Well, it's actually a restaurant at this time, and walks up, and there's Hod, whatever, Rob, such and such, the guy who couldn't die, who refused to die. I'm here to see an old friend. I couldn't stand up an old friend.
That's
and
nice.
where before he had gotten insulted and blew up at him for even insinuating that he wanted a friend. You think you could be a friend of the likes of me?
Yeah.
And so later that episode, he does come back and
I love
finds
seeing
the
all
guy.
every 100 years, all the different stuff from like the 80s all the way back to the 13th century.
Good old Hob Gadlin.
So good.
Hob Gadlin. Thank you. I could not think of his full name. Yeah.
Little Shakespeare in there. It was great. It was really good.
So it's not the first time we've seen Morpheus grow or in some manner admit he was wrong. But it was nice seeing that.
It was good seeing some growth. Rose is growing into her power. She's able to stand up to Morpheus, and we see that. The Corinthian kind of softened a little bit, maybe a little growth with Jed. Could be that's just not his flavor of murder, but at the same time, it seemed like a slight bit of growth. He did save him.
Yeah.
So, I think growth was one.
I'm trying to think of other growth. Rose, yeah.
Family seems to be the strongest.
There was one I just had in my head now I'm blanking. If I remember it, I'll bring it up. I was gonna say one of the themes, at least in the one episode, we kind of picked it up a little while ago when we first met the organizing committee, the three that organizing the convention.
Mm-hmm.
But fear, or that we should have fear of the real life, non-supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal monsters that are out in this world. That there are people who are worse than any of our worst nightmares.
Yeah.
And definitely worse than the nightmare we got in this episode, Galt. Because she didn't want to be feared, but all those people at the serial convention wanted to be feared. So, and fear itself is a theme too, with Jed, with Barnaby and the comic Clarice and the audiobook Clarice, but
thinking back to episode 8, Playing House, one theme in that would be the idea of like you're not in reality, you're living out your own little fantasy world in your dream there.
So escapism.
Yeah, because clearly Jed has his own escapism going on. He just takes a nap to go into his dream world. Barbie is in a fantastic realm that could be out in Narnia or something. I don't know what's wrong with Ken.
He's just getting laid.
But
with some OPP.
And that
we'll find out.
And that kind of goes into the next episode a bit of like these serial killers are living in their own little fantasy world. They're coming to this convention to, like you said, take off their mask, but also live in this fantasy world where they can come out and be themselves. And it's like, that's not reality.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how some of these people got their names, unless they told the media or the newspaper, told the media or the police their names into like a letter or something.
I was just sad that the water boy wasn't Bobby Boucher.
Oh, that would have been awesome. My mama said that would have made me happy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other themes that nobody's hit on yet. We got this family, whether found or not. Going home. Because, Rose does kind of go home. I mean, she was standing right in front of her childhood home at one point. We see where that's next episode, isn't it? Where Gilbert's going. Gilbert's going to be going home.
He does talk about that though. He's talking to Rose when they're talking about travel, and he made a comment. She even said, "So it's about going home." And he said, "Yes, I suppose it is."
The object of travel is not to set foot in a foreign land, but at last to set foot in your own country as a foreign land. Says, Jen, do you mind? Have you read Beyond Where We're At yet? No? Oh. Plug your ears.
Can't hear you.
You're muted. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Me?
Now we can hear
Yes.
you.
Oh, now we
okay.
hear you.
Yeah, now we can hear you. Before we couldn't.
I didn't
you
get
just
it.
Go, okay.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, with who we know Gilbert to be, it just totally makes sense that it's kind of funny and he would say that last little bit as a foreign land. So,
Yeah, agreed.
I didn't hear.
I
So
just
you're
that
Good.
line in the episode caught me, and I was just I paused it to have a good chuckle. So
that's good.
But yeah, going home and well, I mean, I guess you could say Lucien was sent home to the library at one point.
Yeah. I felt bad.
Scolded
felt
home.
more like being
I felt bad.
more like being sent to her bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Any other themes, anybody? I can't think of any of that.
I think we covered just about all of them that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'm missing something now.
It'll come to you about midnight tonight.
And I'll do a cut in. Hey, everybody! I'll do like a Daniel Green last minute cut in video.
That's what he goes. Just wanted to say, yeah, he does that.
Jump in one last minute. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So next week's episode is going to be
Lost Hearts.
10. Lost what?
Lost Hearts.
Lost Hearts. So thank you, Bill, for joining us again this week. Only a couple more weeks until you're done with us and you can like go breathe a sigh of relief.
I enjoy this.
You're still going to be on the other channel, which yes, everybody, if you didn't notice, Sunday this past week we put out another episode for Non-Terrestrial Half-Life, the show where Bill and I reread books we read first half of our life. This week we had a special guest, our first guest of the show. We had Matt Hatch, the innkeeper from the Dusty Wheel. Please come check it out. We talk about Dragons of Winter Night. Had a blast this week talking that show. Absolute blast.
I am so sad that I wasn't able to talk about those two books with you, but hopefully I can come in as a guest soon.
Yes, you're coming on for Spring Dawning, I think, right?
Either Spring Dawning or Summer Flame. Either way, I am ready.
Spring Dawning. Spring Dawning will work. Summer Flame will be a while from now.
I was about to say.
Yeah, because we got Earthsea after Dragonlance.
We're not. Yeah, and after Earthsea, then we're doing the Dragonlance Legends. So we do that trilogy, the Time, Test, and War, whichever order that is, for the twins, and then we come back and do Spring or Summer Flame.
Gotcha.
Because that's kind of wraps
everything
that
up.
takes place after it up. Yep.
Right before the War of Souls or the new kind of world. Yeah.
But I'd gladly have you on for both.
Hey.
I don't know, Max. Have you read the Dragonlance stuff?
Nope.
Nope. You should check them out. Wouldn't call them great literature, but they're fun. They're fun.
They're kind of foundational for my fantasy reading from an early age. So
first fantasy that I read. So yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the Forgotten Realms stuff. Get into Drizzt and
some of my
really looking forward to rereading
that. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get Max's interest for it.
So, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll try. So thank you guys for coming on tonight. Thank you at home for watching. Please come back next week as we continue our journey through The Dreaming on Netflix with Netflix. And don't forget to be awesome.